Hello. I guess this is technically our Valentine's Day and Family Day show. It's going to be coming out, if you're listening to this, a little later than regular, mostly because Birdman has been in the hospital. You know, he's had a pretty bad viral infection, so we already had planned for me to record the show solo this week, for seeing as I'm not celebrating Valentine's Day. Boo hoo hoo me. And he wanted to have time with Blair. Well, then he got sick and had to go to the hospital, and obviously wasn't able to finish any of his elements for it. And I went, I guess I should probably watch some more stuff and get some review stuff ready for it then. So, thoughts, prayers, love, kisses, everything go out to Birdman here. He seems to be on the mend, knock on wood, and he'll probably be back, I don't know, depending this week or so at some point to discuss and sort of explain how, in his own words, what it's been like. But it doesn't sound like he's had a very good time at all. So he, unfortunately, looks like he had to spend Valentine's Day in the hospital. That doesn't mean he's not, showering Blair with all the love he can. So for those of you out there that have a significant other, celebrating the best you can under COVID terms, my heart goes out to you people there. And as those of us that are single, I guess just another day. But I figured we'd sort of set the mood by having some classic love, in quotes, music playing in the background while we do this episode. But what have I been up to? Well, other than review stuff, I did get Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, blasted through the game, beat 100% the main game with all the secrets and everything in one sitting, which is one extended sitting. Then there's the secret worlds, and my God, some of those are hard. I don't think I'm going to be able to complete all of them. But I haven't cracked into Bowser's Fury yet. But I plan to get into that as soon as possible. And then I'm going to trade my brother or somebody. He'll give me basically full value for it. Trade that so that I can use that, whatever money I get from selling that, minus whatever taxes I put into it, into getting the Bravely second game, because I don't think we're getting a review copy of that, but I'm very interested in playing it. Other than that, I've been playing review titles, Persona 5 Strikers. I've been playing a few other things, but I've also been watching standard sort of the anime stuff I've been watching. I've been catching up on some TV. Watched Wellington Paranormal. That is the New Zealand spin-off of What We Do in the Shadows. Not the What We Do in the Shadows TV show, but the official spin-off of that. Super fun and ridiculous, which is always good. As far as other gaming or anything else like that is concerned, it's been sort of a jumping around, playing a bit of Yakuza. That's pretty much it, other than doing my rewatch of Stargate to get us prepped for when we do our Stargate TWIG live actual play whenever the final rules come out. So that's going to be, I think, exciting for sure. As far as anything else that's really happened in the last week or so, not a whole lot, even in the news necessarily that, pertain to me particularly. So it's just been sort of catching up on my back catalog, other than playing Mario, right? So I had a really good time with that, and that's, my Valentine's Day has basically been playing Mario. my love of video games, right? So in this show, we've got your news. Again, it's going to be a truncated news because it's solo, so picking 3 stories, and if we miss it, I can tell you this, it's usually that we have the news in our collection to talk about, but I've chosen not to if it's overly saturated in the news circuit. If there's way too many people on the YouTube YouTubers talking about it already. There's no point in hearing us on it unless we're actually going to be bantering back and forth about it. So I'm picking what I think was interesting to me. And then we've got our 3 reviews for this week, which are also me because, again, Birdman wasn't able to. We have the aforementioned Persona 5 Strikers. I have a Fallen Legion Revenants to talk about, just very briefly, in the middle of the show. And we've also got Tremors on Ultra High Def 4K release from Arrow. I think that's what we're going to lead with. So we're going to get into the review and then get into the news right after this.
Basically, use a geeks.
Leave me alone, geek boy.
Holy shit, you geeks are badass.
Ever since I was a little kid, one of my favorite movies that I was allowed to watch that I probably shouldn't have been able to, or allowed to at least, was Tremors. I was fascinated. I think I must have received the VHS tape when I was 7 or 8 years old, maybe even, somewhere around that round. One of my uncles probably got it for me, and it became a family favorite. And even the sequels that, progressively get cheesier and lower budget we're always good. But Tremors 1 has a special place in my heart for all the amazing practical effects. Just it's so different for a horror film that I almost don't call it horror, but it is. And at this point, I don't need to go into the story. It's ancient prehistoric graboids, as they're called in the movie franchise. Basically, devil worms come out from the ground, suck people in, and eat them. And it starred Kevin Bacon and Reba McEntire and drawing a blank on his name, but playing Bert from Family, the guy from Family Ties. He's in every single one. He's become the unsung hero of the franchise, the only consistent character through every single film. Now, it's had a DVD release, it's had a Blu-ray release, and now, for the first time ever, it's in rarefied air in that it's a genre title being released or has been released by Arrow Films, a 4K UHD remastered edition. Not a ton of catalog titles are getting this release if it's not like from Sony or somebody. So it's pretty cool to see that this is one of the first UHD discs they've put out. We were sent a review copy, but I'll preface it by saying that what we received was a press promotional copy, which is just the disc. So I can't go into the quality of the art or any booklets or anything it would have come with. I just know that those are almost always top tier quality when it comes to Arrow. They're always just robust and very well put together and usually on high card stock and everything. So just take that with a grain of salt in that I can't review that because I personally don't have that. But how does the remaster look? To say the least, fantastic. I've never seen it look this good. There's been Blu-rays before. They've gone back and really cut a new transfer from the original negative that I didn't think they were going to do. Like, a lot of these movies have had 4K copies at the studios for, in some cases, almost 20 years now. When they were doing like archival purposes back in the day, they were in the early 2000s. They were scanning them in at 4K. Well, this is a new scan, obviously using newer technology to clean it up. Now, it's been approved by Ron Underwood, the director, and the director of photography, to make sure that it preserved the tone, the feel, the color scheme, and everything, so that it's the best it's probably going to look. There is a 60-page book that I mentioned, that I don't have, but would be really cool to check out if you're a collector and you want to have the best edition of your movie. It's got that in there with all the tons of little details on the production notes and pictures. Fold out double-sided poster, all the good stuff that they usually put in their releases. Now that there's not a ton of other stuff on the actual Ultra disc itself, because Ultra HD discs, very few of them Only maybe one or two have had features added to the disc. It's pretty much a bare bones affair where they fill the entire either 66 or 100 gig disc with just the movie to give you the max quality with all the language options and uncompressed, yada yada. Now, also included in this set is a 2-disc Blu-ray set that, and it's not just, hey, we're repurposing an old print of the Blu-ray. This is from the new master, so you get the same version either in full Ultra HD, and if you're not there yet, you don't have a player, but you have a Blu-ray player, it's a better version of the Blu-ray than anything that's been released previously. Digital surround sound tracks that are remastered. They also went back and did a full 5.1 remaster of the optical track, which is fantastic. There is subtitles. There's a bunch of commentaries. They fill the main Blu-ray disc. So, watch the movie if you got a 4K player. Watch the movie using the 4K disc, and then if you want to watch your features, pop in disc 1 of the Blu-ray, and you're getting just over a dozen different features of behind-the-scenes interviews, production notes, talking about how they made the music, all the theatrical trailers, image galleries, all the press kits for it. Just shows you how the movie came out. It's if it was created at some point for this movie, it's in here. And then there's a second disc, which is limited to the Blu-ray edition. Like, it's an exclusive. It's got an extended hour-long interviews from the making of Perfection, which is the making of documentary that they produced. Outtakes with introductions from and commentary from some of the crew, and then there are 3 early short films made by the makers of Tremors, remastered in high definition, including some stop motion stuff, which is pretty neat. So they give you a little bonus disc there with all that. It's actually a pretty insane value for what it is. Because it's Arrow, you're looking, depending on if it's on sale, anywhere from $30 to $50 for the release. Well worth it, considering you get a ridiculous amount of special features, and you get a 4K UHD disc, and everything's remastered, and they're not just recycling old special features from other releases. There's a lot of new produced stuff here, new commentaries. I feel like I'm trying to oversell it. I'm not. It's one of the most favorite films of my entire childhood growing up, but I can't believe it got the love it got here, and it's well deserved.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This Week in Geek
News.
All right, it's time for the news. So the 3 stories we have here today start with E3 2021 is being planned as of right now as an all-digital event. This was grabbed by Birdman from an article on Kotaku. Sorry, tongue-tied here. Last year, the Entertainment Software Association canceled E3, as we all know, due to COVID-19 concerns. According to pitch documents obtained by Video Games Chronicle, this year, E3 might be as a strictly online affair with 3 days of streaming content running from June 15th to 17th. When E3 2020 was canceled, game publishers, websites, and Jeff Keighley rushed to fill the void with seemingly endless array of digital events, which took forever. So many on so many days. I watched an ungodly amount. I'll tell you right now, I don't want to do that again. I want them to be more concise over the course of a week, personally, before I even read the rest of this. But I also want Jeff Keighley to run it, and I don't trust the ESA. The pitch documents contained distributed to publishers and developers suggest a show featuring lengthy keynotes from game partners and awards show. That's to spite Keighley, I guarantee you. And multiple streams from smaller developers and publishers. The show would be further supported by media previews a week prior to the event, with playable demos available across multiple platforms. Basically, it sounds like an online streaming stuff we had a lot last summer, only somehow more organized under the E3 banner. Yeah, I'd call bullshit right now. So what they're trying to do is everything Jeff Keighley did with the Summer of Gaming, or Summer, whatever it was, but slap their label on it and charge people millions of dollars for it to run it. Bullshit. It's not going to go. I have a feeling that all the major companies will decline if Keighley is willing to just give his umbrella banner to it and do some cross promotion. It'll be cheaper to pay him to cross promote it through the Game Awards sponsorship than it will going through the ESA. I have a feeling this is going to kill the ESA. They're going to be surprised that that this doesn't go over well because they're that out of touch and that greedy. That's my 2 cents on it. I can't really say much more other than this is a stupid idea. E3's dead. Or they'd have to wait till the year after, but by then people know that it's not necessary anymore. Not with the proliferation of high-speed internet and people getting used to directs and all this. It just doesn't make any sense. So the next story is from comicbook.com. Nintendo Switch leak reveals possible return of 2005 Star Wars game. So a new Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Lite leak has spoiled the possible return of a classic 2005 Star Wars game. Developers and publishers have been bringing their classic games to the Switch and Switch Lite en masse, and so the migration from yesteryear has included ports of classic Star Wars games. And now it looks like Star Wars Republic Commando, which I have on Xbox, I believe it's backwards compatible going all the way back to the original Xbox, is joining the migration. According to Nintendo Everything, update data for Republic Commando has been uploaded to Nintendo servers, which in turn suggests that not only is the 2005 game coming to Switch and Switch Lite, but that also an announcement and release are on the horizon. In other words, coming sooner rather than later. As noted, I think it's Aspire PR, Aspire, whatever. Excuse me. Which is notable because they already brought Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, and Jedi Knight Jedi Academy in Episode 1 Racer to the Switch and Switch Lite. Meanwhile, Nintendo Everything also points out this is exactly how several Switch games have leaked in the past, including Paladins and Fortnite. For those that don't know, Republic Commando debuted back in 2005 and at first was an Xbox exclusive before it came to PC a few days later. That said, while the gameplay came to PC, it never came to any Nintendo or PlayStation platform. Chaos has erupted throughout the galaxy, reads the official pitch for the tactical first-person shooter from LucasArts. As the leader of an elite squad of Republic Commandos, your mission is to infiltrate, dominate, and ultimately annihilate the enemy. Your squad will follow the orders that you lead. Will follow your orders and your lead, working together as a team, instinctively, intelligently, instantly. And you are the leader. They are your weapons. At the moment of publishing, Aspire has not commented on the apparent leak in any capacity, nor has Nintendo or LucasArts. That said, if things change, we'll also be sure to update you accordingly. Interestingly, this leak comes on the back of rumors that Aspire is working on a AAA revival of KOTOR, which that would be interesting. Does this leak lend credence to the vice versa? Yada, yada, yada. This is exciting. I have the game, like I said, and it's backwards compatible. Like, it's funny. It's on the original Xbox, but I can play it on my Series X, and it, puts it up to 4K, which, well, just because it outputs 4K doesn't mean the textures are any good. I could see this game running really, really well at 1080p on the Switch. 1080p 60, no compromises, and it would still be, 2 gigs, maybe 3 gigs. They could fit this thing on a 4 gig cart, make it dirt cheap to release, and if they're smart, charge like $30. I think $30 on cartridge would be worth it. Any more would be a complete waste. Digital, if it's a $20 game, I think it'll sell. I don't think they should charge more than that, seeing as the game's like $5 or $10 on Xbox, where you're going to get, where it's going to be up converted or up-resed or whatever to 4K. So take that as you will, but it would be nice to have it on the portable platform. And the controls are pretty nice. It's one of the best unsung heroes of that era of Star Wars games. So I think that's well worth it. Now, as far as our final story, and KOTOR. If we get KOTOR 3 from them, I'm kind of worried in that they've never done a game that big before, but it's not like I would say Obsidian's not available anymore because they're working on whatever they were working on as a Microsoft studio now. BioWare, just make Mass Effect and make Dragon Age. Don't fuck around making something else right now. So maybe they're a good choice for it. I would have, if I had picked a third pick to make, I would have gotten Spider Studio or somebody to make it. But then again, Eurojank is a thing, so I don't know. It's hard to pick. Maybe Larian Studios would have made a good one. So, but as it is, I think this is exciting. In our final story here, as far as the regular news, this is from Deadline. Pedro Pascal to star as Joel in The Last of Us HBO TV series based on the video game. This is an exclusive to them. In one of the biggest TV castings of the year, the Mandalorian star Pedro Pascal is set to headline The Last of Us, HBO's high-profile series adaptation of the Sony PlayStation franchise from Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann. So, based on the critically acclaimed video game The Last of Us, developed by Naughty Dog exclusively for the PlayStation platforms, the story takes place 20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed. Joel, a hardened survivor, is hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressive quarantine zone. What starts as a small job soon becomes a brutal, heartbreaking journey as they both must traverse across the U.S. And depend on each other for survival. Pascal's Joel, tormented by past trauma and failure, must trek across the pandemic-ravaged America. Don't use the word pandemic. All the while protecting a girl who represents the last hope of humanity. This marks a homecoming for Pascal, who became a household name with his role as Oberyn Martell in HBO's mega hit Game of Thrones. Yeah, he ends up being the lawyer/champion of Tyrion, and then he gets a little too cocky, almost kills the Mountain, but gets cocky and tries to get him to admit murder of his sister, and then he gets knocked to the ground, and the next punch from the Mountain knocks all of his teeth out, and then the Mountain grabs him, holds his thumbs in his eye sockets, and then says, yeah, he killed his sister and he raped her and the children, and then I crushed her head in like this, and he squeezes his head and his brain explodes out the back of his head all over the ground. It was the most horrific death in the entire show. It was amazing. And I crushed her head in like this, bang, and even brains fly up into the crowd. Oh man, that was good. So Pascal currently stars in Disney Plus's hugely popular and acclaimed series The Mandalorian, which recently received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Drama Series. He will continue on the Star Wars series, where he is used sparingly because of his nature of the character. Through the Last of Us has him in first position. The actor recently became available for a new series, attracting multiple big offers from top premium networks and streamers, opting to do The Last of Us. So this is going to be traditional premium cable. So this isn't going to be streaming, or it will be eventually, but this is going to be week to week, water cooler television released in prime time. This is going to be your, even though the story is probably going to deviate from the game, I have a feeling. A little bit, but this is going to be your Game of Thrones, your Sopranos, your big show from them, likely this year, maybe even the beginning of next year. But it says here that Pascal is coming off starring as the villain Max Lord in Wonder Woman 84, which was terrible. He was hamming it up pretty good. He had a fun time, but it was a terrible movie, terrible direction, terrible CGI. Terrible writing. Oh my God, the writing was bad. He was pretty good though, as far as hamming it up and being ridiculous. The Narcos and Kingsman: The Golden Circle Star is currently in production on Judd Apatow's The Bubble for Netflix. He is rep by WME, yada, yada, yada. Kentamir Balagov is directing the pilot episode of The Last of Us, co-production with Sony Pictures, PlayStation Productions, Word Games, The Mighty Mint, and Naughty Dog. Kentamir Balagov. Let's see what you have done before, because I don't recognize your name. I don't know who the hell you are. Looks like a kid. How old is this guy? Oh, he is basically a kid. He's 30. Russian director, screenwriter, and cinematographer, directed the film Closeness and Beanpole. I don't know what is Russian drama. What about Beanpole? It's a historical drama. Isn't it? It's also Russian. Is this the first English production that this director has done? Yes. Okay, cool. I mean, giving him props there. You must have done a really good job when it comes to your last couple features, and you're such a young director. Good for you. I'll be interested to see what that's like. So yeah, that's going to do it for the news. I think exciting overall when it comes to The Last of Us. I have not actually played The Last of Us or Last of Us 2. My brother did, and everybody else I know has, and they've told me the main story points and beats of it. I had thought at one point of literally sitting down and watching all the cutscenes, because I don't think I can. I don't do well with zombie or horror games, but I think I'm just gonna wait now. I mean, I could play the game, but why would I play the game when I could watch an HBO series that's going to be like super high budget with some of the best actors right now out there? I'm very excited for this. This is going to get me to maybe subscribe and actually watch HBO again. So I'll be very happy when that comes out. Who knows when? Methinks sometime. I mean, in an ideal world, it would be fantastic if it could come out this year, but I think it's probably next spring or something, based on COVID, based on things. Actually, never know. If it's only going to be like a 6 or 8 part season or something, it's possible at this point that we could get it out this year. Because I don't think we're getting Mandalorian season 3 this year. That's going to be the Boba Fett series. So, I don't know. It could be interesting. And that's going to do it for the news. We're going to go into a quick review. I have a Fallen Legion Revenant. And then we'll be back with the weird news.
This is a fair request, and I promise I will not judge any person only as a teenager, and that this is no more right than saying all teenagers are drunken dope addicts or glue sniffers.
Alex here with your Indie Game Minute. What am I talking about for this episode? We have Fallen Legion Revenants, which is the sequel to Fallen Legion, brought to us. Review code was provided by NISAmerica. It is an action RPG. I received a version available on the PlayStation 4. It's also available on Nintendo Switch. So if you've not heard of it before, it's an action RPG with a really cool, almost hand-drawn art style. The control of battle is similar to the Valkyrie Profiles games, where you attack with different buttons for your characters that are in your each character has an own button attached to them, and they have different cooldown timers, and you can do combos as you move across the screen, battling different enemies. Very addicting gameplay. Very well done when it comes to the audio design. The graphics visually pleasing. The basics about the game is it's a world covered in miasma. A floating castle is the last refuge of mankind. Interestingly enough, I feel like this game flows and moves a lot faster than I would have expected from most action RPGs of its ilk. It's not a game where you're controlling people running around a map. It is a progressive battle system that moves across the screen with different enemies, and you're just sort of slashing as you go. Very fun to pick up and play for a few hours at a time. You don't need to have played the first game if you are somebody who is worried about that. It will look probably and play the same on Switch as it does on PlayStation 4. It might be worth checking out if you're a fan of medieval fantasy and RPGs.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
It's time for the weird news now. So what do we have this week? Birdman got a couple stories, and I picked out the third because I always like picking out one, at least. And we usually end up getting a lot of the same ones, actually. So what we have for the first one, this is brought to us by The Guardian. If I can get rid of all the ads. Oh, good Lord. So, Texas lawyer trapped by cat filter on Zoom call informs judge he is not a cat. I've seen a bit of the memes from this. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I know Birdman was really into this. So the coronavirus has been responsible for a series of video call stumbles and mishaps. And the phenomenon has seemingly reached its zenith this week when a Texas lawyer appeared before a judge as a cat after being unable to change the filter. I'm not a cat. Rod Ponton was forced to clarify during a hearing in Presidio County, Southwest Texas, as he and his assistant scrambled to remove the filter. The filter, which displayed a kitten instead of his face, was able to capture the lawyer's horror and confusion, its eyes fluttering across the screen as Ponton scrambled to remove it. It's the most boomer shit ever. The coronavirus has prompted many computer mishaps as many of the world's workers adapt to working from home in the face of the pandemic. They have ranged from inadvertently hilarious to the career ending. Career ending obviously being pulling out your dick. Or going to like take a shit or something and not realize that your mic is on. Faced with hearing legal debate from a kitten, Judge Roy Ferguson of Texas's 394th Judicial District told Ponton, "I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to." The Ponton kitty entity then interrupts Ferguson in a panicked drawl. "Can you hear me, Judge?" Ferguson responds, "I can hear you. I think it's a filter." "It is," the cat face punter responds, "and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to move forward with it. I'm live here. I'm not a cat." Ferguson deadpans, "I can see that." Ponton was representing the state of Texas in the hearing, which reportedly centered on a person who had attempted to leave the U.S. with contraband and illegally obtained cash. Presidio County is on the U.S.-Mexico border and includes the town of Marfa and much of the Big Bend National Park. In an interview with the New York Times, Ponton said he was using his secretary's computer during the incident. Ponton told the newspaper he was mortified, although he appeared to see the funny side. If it can make the county chuckle for a moment in these difficult times they're going through, I'm happy to let them do that at my expense. Yeah, let's be honest. This isn't this is an embarrassment in the moment, but ultimately this is something to laugh at. Even the judge, once this is over, will probably have a chuckle at it and laugh at it. You'd have to be really callous not to see just how ridiculous and dumb this was, and how this was not intentional. Thousands of people have shared instances of Zoom meetings gone wrong over the past 12 months, with incidents including a boss turning herself into a potato and family members walking around in various states of undress. That's the standard one. That's one of the reasons why, especially when I'm outside of my apartment, if I'm visiting family, I've been afraid to do too much game streaming until I feel like I've got to, at some point when I have extra money, invest in like a green screen backdrop, just not so much because I want to have special effects and all this, but more like, you never know if a family member is going to walk out, have a shower and then walk out with just a bathrobe on to grab something, or like, oh crap, there's a package at the door, and you come out in your underwear to grab it, and you have that in the background. Where my setup is, because the apartment doesn't have a ton of room, I've got a table set up in front of the living room window to let a lot of natural light in, with my dual monitor set up, and if I have a webcam, it would face the one hallway, which is the connective tissue for the whole apartment. So it could be problematic. And when I'm visiting family, the internet was always crappy, but it could work now. But again, you're visiting family, and you don't know what they're going to walk around like. When I visit my grandmother, she's not going to walk around naked, thank God. but again, it could be, you never know if somebody's going to rush to the bathroom, and then you're going to hear bathroom noises that are next to the office where the computer stuff is there. So I totally understand it. And my mom, actually, as a matter of fact, has been working from home and had to do all the Zoom stuff. And she's actually, for somebody in her 60s, she's adapted pretty well, mostly because my brother and I have helped her. But she hasn't had any mishaps like this. The worst she's had is the not realizing that, not that her mic is muted, but that she was using the wrong input. Like, we had a lapel mic we got her and clipped into, or plugged into the front of her little mini PC, which was my old mini PC, because all of my parents' computer stuff is hand-me-downs, because otherwise they'd still be using, like their Athlon 64 CPU computer, or the K6 Duron, whatever they've had since 2001. So they get hand-me-downs. That was my old work computer. And we gave her a lapel mic because, the webcam mics always sound like shit. And even a cheapy lapel mic is going to be better. Even a crappy $10 mic is going to be better than that, and more directional and not pick up a lot of the fan noise from the computer or anything. So we got that for her, and she didn't realize sometimes that she's got the webcam mic as the audio, using it for the stream. So we had to show her how to go in and not just select a different one. We actually went in and physically disabled the webcam mic as a source, so that it had to use the sound card mic that was, with the lapel. And once that was done, she figured it out. She hasn't had any of those mishaps otherwise. So that's pretty good. Good on Mom. So it says here, in January, BBC News segment raised eyebrows as viewers spotted a large pink penis sculpture on a shelf behind an interview subject, while last year a New Jersey school board member was forced to resign after she accidentally broadcast her visit to the toilet. I know they made fun of that, and I think it was 911 or 911 Lone Star, those hilariously terrible Fox shows. They're so bad that you have to watch them because of the ridiculousness of them, and they take themselves so seriously. They think they're being serious, or they think they're being funny, but they're not being funny for the reason they think they are. And I love those shows for that. A troubling incident came in October when a journalist and TV analyst, Jeffrey Toobin, was suspended after he was allegedly caught masturbating on a Zoom call. Red Rocket. The Texas cat clip now seems destined to achieve viral immortality of its own. A mission helped by Judge Ferguson himself, who tweeted a link to the video to see. Oh, so there we go. If a child used your computer before you joined the virtual hearing, check the Zoom video options to be sure filters are off, Ferguson wrote. You know what? That's for a judge, that's playful enough. These fun moments are a byproduct of the legal profession's dedication to ensuring the justice system continues to function in these tough times. Everyone involved handled it with dignity, and the filtered lawyer showed incredible grace, true professionalism all around. The cat video provided a moment of levity in a bleak period, but in a symbol of our turbulent, take-nothing-for-granted times. It was subsequently revealed that Ponton is something of a past. He was accused in 2014 of involvement of heavy-handed raid on a smoke shop. Oh, good Lord. Oh, boy. Well, yeah. So that's that story, at least. Moving on to our next one. This is also from Birdman. This is from MetalSucks.net. This dude built a guitar out of his uncle's dead skeleton. So a Metal Sucks reader calling himself Prince Midnight has made a guitar out of his dead uncle's rendered skeleton. Good Lord. You read that correctly, but if your mind is spinning, I'll lay it plainly for you. He attached a guitar neck, pickups, volume knob, jack, strings, electronics to an entire skeleton that used to hold his uncle's mortal being. And he made a functioning guitar out of it, and all as a way to pay tribute to the man responsible for his love of heavy metal. Prince isn't some kind of morbid skeleton fetishist, at least that we know, but rather sought to come up with a practical solution on what to do with his uncle's remains. In Prince's native Greece, the country's Orthodox religion frowns upon cremation. So his uncle's they don't frown upon this. And so his uncle Philip's bones had been around for over 2 decades before Prince decided to pay tribute to the man who taught him about the dark arts of the most metal way possible. Old Philip's bones got quite a workout between then and now. Philip, who died way too young in a car accident, had requested his skeleton be donated to the local college, where it was medically prepared and rendered, fulfilling a workman-like role, educating students for 20 years. That's admirable. If you don't want to be buried or cremated, that's a good way to do it. Help the next generation of kids and people maybe find out about anatomy or bone structure. Neat. But at a certain point, the school no longer had use for Philip, so he ended up in a giant wooden box. His family refused to cremate him, but Philip didn't want to continue paying costly rent for the cemetery space, so he took matters into his own hands, refilling and filing again giant paperwork which the Greek government to repatriate Philip's remains. There's a couple spelling errors in this article, which Philip tells us was quite complicated process. He says, so I got a box of bones from Greece and didn't know what to do at first. Bury them, cremate them, put them in the attic. All seemed like poor ways to memorialize someone who got me into heavy metal. So I decided to turn Uncle Philip into a guitar, which proved to be challenging. I did a lot of research, and no one has ever made a guitar out of a skeleton, so I bet. Well, maybe. Well, no, I guess not. So I started consulting with 2 guys in Dean Guitar's wood shop in Tampa, but they got cold feet. I get that. I sort of do. Anyways, now Uncle Philip can shred for all eternity. That's how he would want it. I'm super proud of the project and how it serves to honor him, his life, and his influence on me. See, if you're not beholden to specific religious beliefs, maybe this is good for him. Prince, who just finished assembling the guitar yesterday, sent exclusive photos to Metal Sucks, and as the instrument plays perfect and sounds awesome. R.I.P. Uncle Philip. Yeah, you've unwittingly inspired a new generation of shredders to pay tribute to their Hesher elders and the most metal way possible. Let me see. There's a couple of close-up photos of it. Let me see. Is there a photo of the finished? Good God. Oh, he's called it the Philips Skelecaster. Nice. That's pretty cool and also terrifying, but also pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, sure. And the final story here is one I found. This is from the Fort Worth Star Telegram. Nearly 200 pounds of contraband bologna seized at the New Mexico border, feds say. It says here, border agents caught a vehicle carrying 194 pounds of contraband Mexican bologna. Oh no, contraband Mexican bologna into the U.S. Mexico at the New Mexico border. Customs and Border Protection said Thursday. Agents stopped a Nissan SUV in the morning of February 7th at Columbus border crossing, searched the vehicle, and found 22 large red package rolls in the trunk and some hidden in the driver's luggage. Bologna is a prohibited product because it's made from pork and has potential for introducing foreign animal diseases to the U.S. pork industry. The 49-year-old Albuquerque resident behind the wheel was fined $500, and the prohibited meat was destroyed. No, it's probably fine. I have a feeling it's not so much about the foreign thing. It's more about they didn't want competition. It's like up here, you have a hard time bringing dairy in and out. It is important that travelers understand that they should declare all items they are transporting from abroad to avoid fines and penalties. A properly declared prohibited item can be abandoned at the port without consequence. The agency released data through the anti-terrorism as primary goal, border inspections as a result, in impressive numbers of enforcement actions in all categories, yada, yada, yada. And that was pretty much it. It's a pretty simple story, but that you'd think it would be drugs they're smuggling in, or it's almost always drugs. Nope. Bologna, the cheapest meat possible. I mean, at least it wasn't mock chicken loaf, which is, I think that's an affront to God and all of humanity, which is like, it's not even chicken bologna, mock chicken bologna, mock chicken loaf. So what is that made out of? Like, I don't know, rats and sparrows or something? So yeah, maybe think twice before you bring, almost 200 pounds worth of meat, in quotes, across the border from Mexico. So that's going to do it for the weird news this week. We're going to take a quick break, get into my review of the new Persona game, and I'll come back at the end just to sort of give a status update of where we are and what we're doing. So take it away, me.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Hold that thought. It's crapper time.
Our friends at Atlas and Sega sent over a review copy of Persona 5 Strikers. That is the, I guess, Dynasty Warriors style game set as a direct sequel to Persona 5 / Persona 5 Royal. And interestingly enough, it plays much more like Persona than you'd think. Obviously, the action gameplay in it is that warrior style of play, but it doesn't have that same feel, if that makes any sense. You do go around slashing up groups of enemies, but you level up. Each world is each part of the world is separated into levels and missions, similar to how they were done in the Persona series. You go in and change somebody's heart. You get to regroup with all of the characters from the previous game. This is sort of, you're meeting up after the school year has sort of gone by, and you want to go on a vacation together or go on some trips, just have an adventure, and you get embroiled in more hijinks to continue on sort of with the themes and motifs of Persona 5. Now, as far as RPG elements, there's a fair amount in here in that how it feels like when you're defeating enemies, you can get level ups for characters. Now, the battle system, like I said, is action based, but you can sort of jump and perch on things, use environmental scenery and things that are built in to get the jump on certain enemies and do extra damage. Think Final Fantasy 15 style, where you can jump, perch, then land and go to attacks. There's obviously treasure chests to open, secrets to find as you roam your way around. The art style, interestingly enough, is almost identical. I would say that the major difference is there is lower quality, and the only downside I can see to this game is that there's lower quality character sprites or character models. When it's in cutscenes, they seem a little more aliased and jaggy, and maybe lower resolution than what they look like in Persona 5. But it's probably a discrepancy in the engines and what they're using. But the backgrounds are identical. All of the animations are of top-notch quality. All of the cutscenes, the voice acting, everything is fantastic. Everything is this high quality, almost identical, that parody graphical fidelity, except weirdly enough, just the character models. Whereas some of the enemies look identical too. It's just the player characters. So I don't know, I only noticed it because everything else was, perfectly smooth and like hand-drawn, painted looking, and the characters were just a little jaggy. But that's just a nitpick because overall it's just a well-done presentation. And playing it on PlayStation 4, or, more correctly, I'm playing it on my PS5 in backwards compat mode, it was really cool that it was smooth. Like, usually when you play these warrior-style games, the frame rate dips and just drops to, like, single digits in some points. It was rock solid 60 FPS the whole way playing at 4K, if it is the resolution that it's outputting at. Regardless, it was so well done with HDR on my TV and just the colors popping and no matter how many enemies were on the screen, there wasn't even a second, even a stutter of frame rate dipping. Now, it's also going to be available, on the Switch. That, and I didn't play that version, but I'm going to imagine your mileage may vary or the resolution might be reduced a bit to keep the solid frame rate. But right now, this is the best performing warrior-style game I've ever played. So, got to hand it to them for this. They did a fantastic job. I don't want to go too much into the story because it is a fairly story-heavy based game, but this is probably the best story you're going to get out of a warrior-style game as well. I'm very happy that we finally got to see this in the West because we had been, had our fingers crossed, weren't sure if we were going to get it or if we did, if it was going to get the full, the full Persona dub treatment, and we did. This is a true sequel in every sense of the word, and really does the original title justice. I hope we see more in this vein in the future, and maybe more other spin-offs. Maybe I would love to see a Persona 6, but if we had to do another game, maybe another Persona 5 spin-off or sequel would be nice. It's definitely going to be worth picking up when it comes out. And even if you're not somebody who's played the RPG before, you do need to know some of it because of the story, because you might be a little lost, but you won't be lost as far as gameplay goes. And I could see this, people maybe picking this up casually to play with friends and then finding out, maybe I should go back and play the RPGs. It's just that well done.
Those magnificent bastards.
Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
And that's going to do it for the show this week. Hope everybody had a interesting Valentine's Day / Family Day. Yeah, I'm sure. So whether you had somebody or didn't have somebody, I mean, it's just one of those. My personal belief, even when I was in a committed relationship, was it's not just the Hallmark holiday. It's kind of manufactured. If you're doing a good job in the relationship, you don't need to set away one day to be overly romantic. You can do it throughout the year. You've probably seen Birdman does even. He goes a little overboard. He's like, oh, it's Valentine's Day month, so like every few days something magical has to happen. And if you're a romantic like that, all the power to you. I just think that you can do a lot the rest of the year that doesn't have to be, here's a card, here's flowers, here's diamonds. You can do many things. But I mean, if you like celebrating it, if it's one of your favorites, good for you. And Family Day this year falling on the day after, I guess that's good. Or is it Family Day because you made a family the day before? Oh. Now, as far as what's going on programming-wise, there was going to be another Third or Treasure episode, but because I got all my reviews basically out now, I'm pretty much caught up, so I don't have anything. Birdman is obviously going to be behind as far as getting some of his reviews out, being that he's still recovering from his ailment at the hospital, or maybe now at home by now. So programming this week, we were going to have be recording some stuff for Loose Cannon and Future Imperfect. That's probably going to be on hold because of holidays and also ailments and all that sort of stuff. But we probably will have a syndicated episode. I'm not sure if Nerd the Third has anything out this week that Birdman had been on previously, pre-recorded. But we'll have something probably else to put out this week. If not, we'll be doing, I think, a prototype sometime in the near future. And if there's any, major news coverage, we'll we'll break in with something there. But it's pretty much going to be the main show this week, maybe one syndicated show, and then we'll be back on next Sunday, Monday. Birdman has a meeting, I think. So if he's well, he may be on the show. If not, this might be 3 weeks in a row of me doing it solo, and he's gonna owe me. And we're gonna I'll take a break sometime after that maybe, and he can do all this stuff. But as far as what's coming up review wise, let's take a quick look here before I get off the air of what's even being released in the next little bit, because we're approaching the point now where I think a lot of the items that we would be reviewing have either been pushed back, or there's just sort of going to be a bit of a lull. So I'm going to my go-to, which is Amazon. Not that it's the be-all end-all, but if it's a digital release, there might be some smaller titles that pop up that we get to review as far as from the digital platform perspective. As far as something that's a little bit larger that would have a physical release, let's see here. I don't want to see April. No, it's too far ahead. But if we go into March, then we go a little earlier from March into February. What have we got? Because it was like a whole bunch of RPGs came out at once. And I felt inundated, and I was like, oh my god, it's overwhelming. What do I do? So we are now caught up to where it should be. Well, I'm pretty sure we're not doing Pet Clinic Dogs and Cats. We did Neo already, so now we're caught up. So what is there in the next week or so that we might get for review? If nothing, I might do a review just of my own copy that I picked up of Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, if there's nothing else to talk about, because it is a good game, and I would like to go into detail about that at some point. I know Birdman has a copy as well, so maybe we can discuss that. But let's see here. Yeah, the next game listed literally for the rest of the month is Bravely Default 2, and I don't think we're getting a review copy of that. I'll ask and double check, but with Square Enix, it's sort of it's up in the air. It's like a lot of the Namco Bandai stuff. We're not 100% sure if we're going to get a copy of some of these. Let's see here. Games in 2021. Go on a journey with me here while I look into what's coming up. So we go, doink, what's coming out? So, yeah, we were offered Galgun Returns, and I was like, no. As much as I like quirky, weird games, there's a lot of controversy around those titles. I don't really need to do that. And Birdman was like, I'm getting more politically active. Maybe we don't do games that could be porn games. And I'm like, hey, at one point, we had almost as a joke tried to get actual hentai games to review on the show from Jast USA, the people that translate it, and they didn't even respond to our emails, and we were like, okay, we're not going to pursue that. We were going to do it as a joke like 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, no. Let's see here. Fallen Legion, we've already got here. There's for the next week. That's yeah, there's nothing. So, wow. I'm sure there'll be something that comes in. If not, we'll have some movies to review, because there's always movies coming in for that sort of thing. But yeah, Mario, probably talk about that. Maybe prototype it, depending on how long the discussion might go. But we'll know when we get to it. So that's going to do it for the show this week. Again, hope you had a happy Valentine's Day if you're in Canada, or I guess BC or Ontario, happy Family Day. I know there's other provinces that have similar days. In the States, I don't know if there's a American holiday right now. American holidays. Usually our holidays coincide something close. What are the U.S. national holidays? Oh, so Monday is President's Day. So it is a holiday for you guys. Okay, so happy President's Day. Nice. President's Day, Family Day, Valentine's Day. It's a bit of everything. So we'll be back, I guess, in the next episode, and maybe I'll throw some music at the very end of this after our regular outro, so you can have some fun listening to some, like, I don't know, porn jams or something. All right, I'll talk to everybody later.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
Lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.